Hello and welcome to Under the Surface, Pumped by Reebok. I'm your host, Annalie Maley, and this is a solo episode. And I'm really excited about this question. I have been asked this question a lot, weirdly, in this last week. I did a speaking engagement at Rio Tinto. I went to a couple of schools and then I did a talk for some Cedar kids. And the question that was asked the most was, how do you deal with failure? And I thought it was so interesting that like the age range that we're asking these questions were from like 14-year-old kids all the way up to like 30-year-old adults, asking how to deal with failure. And my first response to them is always, well, what is failure to you? How do you define failure to yourself? Because I think a lot of the time, and I don't know if it's just the way that we grow up, like being in school, like when you fail, you don't pass, like, you know, the whole idea of failure always has like such negative connotations. Like in the schooling system, failing equals bad. In the sports world, failing equals bad. In your job, failing means that you're not getting that promotion, you're not getting along with your coworkers, you're not doing the things that you need to do to excel. So again, reminding people that failing traditionally has a negative connotation to it. So when I ask what failure is to you, most of the responses were, oh, well, it's not reaching my goals, which is great. Like that is actually a great response because you can rewire your brain from there. Like when someone says failure is not reaching my goals, it's really easy for me to kind of put that into a sentence that hopefully that they can digest. So the first thing I'll say is like the first thing you have to realize is the only failure you will have is if after you fail you don't try again. That's the only failure you will ever have, is if after you fail once you stop. And the next thing is realizing that your failure isn't connected to your self-worth at all. And the failure, is not your failure. It's just a failure. And it's not connected to you. You didn't fail. Something that you wanted didn't go the way that you wanted it to, but your sense of self, you did not fail. And the idea of failure is so tied to an outcome. The idea of failure is so tied to whether we win a game, to whether we pass a test, to whether we get picked for a team, or whether, you know, we succeed in this area. Like I was talking to these cricketers and they were talking about runs and stuff. I'm not a cricket person, so I was trying to put it in a way they would understand, and I don't think I succeeded at that. So I'm hoping that they listen to this so they can maybe get a better read on what it is that I was actually trying to say. So that idea of success is all based in an outcome, right? That idea of success and winning a game, that's an outcome. And we have no control over the outcomes of anything. Like nothing. The outcome of something we have no control over. Like getting picked for a team, to an extent we don't have control over. Getting cut from a team, playing amazing, playing bad. Like these are all outcomes and we have no control in that. And when you live in the outcome space, it's a miserable place to be. Like living in the outcome is so miserable, and it's so black and white, and life isn't black and white. Like you can't look at something and just say that it's 100% good or bad. That's just not what it is. So the idea is how I deal with failure is I live in the process, and everything that I do now is for the process of something. I fully commit myself to the process, and like it sounds a little lame, but learning to trust the process, and learning not to live in the outcomes. Like it's not outcome based. My coach currently, Ryan Petrick at the Perth Lynx, he always words it so well in a way that really I understand, is that if we run this play and we run it absolutely correctly, like amazingly, and the shot doesn't go in, you'll actually see him on the sidelines still clapping, because he's just happy that we did the process. We did everything in our power that to do this thing right, and we did it. And he's not, obviously he wants the shot to go in, but he lives in the process. He doesn't live in the outcome. If we did everything right in that moment, he's literally clapping before the shot has even gone in or missed, because he's happy with the process. And I've really been trying to surround myself with mentors and people like that. You know, it's the same in the gym. it's also the same that I see from like when I have been cut from teams recently. Like that doesn't me being cut from the team, that doesn't even feel like an outcome. It feels like part of a process. Like me not being taken away for a trip, or me not being selected in something, that's not the outcome. That's a part of the process. And I think that learning to trust the process and live in the outcomes is accepting that failure is a part of the process. So I'm going to say that again. Learning to trust the process and not live in the outcomes is accepting that failure is a part of the process. So when you put failure as just something that didn't happen, it then puts it in the idea of like failure is a part of this process phase. And if we start avoiding putting ourselves in situations that we can fail, we're not putting ourselves in the right situations that will lead to the experiences that we're supposed to have, that will guide us towards the outcome that is meant for us. So we can't avoid failure. So when I tried to say this a lot faster and not very well thought out, it sounded something along the lines of like, just you never really fail unless you don't try again. And you got to live in the process so much and accept that failure is a part of the process. And take the negative idea of failure away. And you almost want to chase failure, because then you're chasing these limits, right? Like if I have a limit for myself, I'm chasing that. I want to push that boundary. And I'm not going to hit the limit and succeed every time. I'm going to hit the limit and fail a lot. You know, whether that's in school, in sport, I can talk about it in a basketball sense. Maybe it's the amount of shots that I get up, or changing my shot style, or working extra on fitness. Like I am going to fail way more than I succeed. And I want to chase that failure. I want to hit my limit so I know what to change, so I know what to do differently. And so I lift my limit was here, I get there and I fail, I push that limit a little bit higher. So I just want failure to become not such a negative thing. So that's how I deal with failure, is by recognizing that it is wholly not just a part of life, but definitely being a part of being a professional athlete, but is something that needs to be in our life in order for us to succeed. Because you don't have success without failure. You don't just have success. You don't have success without failure. So that's my answer to that question. So yeah, that was a little bit of a shorter one, but I hope you guys enjoyed that, got something out of it. That's my little tidbit that I'm still working on accepting, by the way. None of this I'm 100% great at. I hate not feeling like I'm doing my best all the time, but I am really, really trying to lean on the process and lean on process-driven things, because in that space is where we grow, and that's what I'm trying to do. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. That was Under the Surface, Pumped by Reebok with Annalie Maley.